Yeah. So this was done. That's not very good, okay? But it's my music, and I've done it by myself on Sony PlayStation 1, and the files were saved to these little guys. PlayStation memory cards. Yes, sir. I don't have none of those CDs anymore, and I doubt that I will ever be able to use it again. This works. This works. You know what I mean? But like I said, I threw out all the CDs, and that's how I started. On Sony PlayStation 1, there was this kind of like TV AV plugs, the red, white, and yellow. And yellow was for the video signal, and the red and the white were like the left and the right RCA. And my stepdad, he used to have a Pioneer DJ fader type mixer for two CD decks. He was into music, and Fuji's was one of his albums that I heard. So I got it from him. I don't remember if I asked if I could use it or not, but I was very careful. And so once my music was done, saved to these guys, I plugged, like, I ripped the cable out so that each strand, each wire is a little bit longer, and I've used the yellow one to connect to my TV, and the white and the red one, the left and the right, I've plugged it into a Pioneer DJZ or some and I was able to record that signal, even though the DJing deck couldn't record anything itself, but somehow I got it connected to something else, and I was able to record these. And that's how this came to life. That was it probably took me a couple of years before I learned to do anything. So actually, no, it was shorter than a couple of years. Everything was developing quickly. Like I said, it was the fall, autumn of 1999 when I got this. And probably by the end of school, and I was in 10th grade, I was 15 years old. And that's already after the field notes with this. So I was 15 years old, and then at 16, I was already, I've never had a computer. So like a PC, or like a Windows. I mean, I've used it in school, starting back at Windows, on Windows 3.11, if anybody even heard of this name. That's pre-Windows 1995, Windows 95 actually. That's pre that era. Pre-Windows 98, pre-Windows 2000 NT. So I've never had a computer. I was using the field tape recorder, like a journalist one. I was using Sony PlayStation. Then I got me, these cassettes recorded. One of them survived. And then I got a computer in a couple of years. I've tried software like EJ, music, hip hop EJ, dance EJ. We had that. And so me and my homie from school, Fedja, we used to be interested in music, him and me. He doesn't do music any longer, but I still do. It's been 25 years since I started. In a couple of months, it's going to be exactly 25 years, but it's my 25th year already. And so then I got a computer. And then in a little bit Fruity Loops, I think version 1 was out. It wasn't looking like FL Studio these days. It was more like a vertical vertical playlist arrangement. It was looking ugly ASF, and yeah, it was pretty cool. You also had a little beat machine lights that you have right now. I think it's called did I say playlist before? I meant arrangement in the new terms, but in the old terms, where you push the buttons to program, it was I think it was called playlist, whatever. I don't remember. There was no piano roll. Forget about that. It was like a basic Boss type of Roland drum machine and software, and so I tried using it. It was fantastic. I did a lot of stuff with it, and that's how I started practicing doing my crafts in the computer. But I never knew anything about the sound. I was just like a person just pushing buttons and trying to do what I was doing using these with a Sony Playstation 1, and then also based on my skill of a little bit of recording. And so pretty much I started recording when I was 10 years old, believe it or not. And then as time progressed, now I have the computer and I have the Fruity Loops, that's right, version 1 point something, but definitely not the first one, because it wasn't already cracked. And back in the day, I mean, we didn't have anything, so we used whatever came. And I've used Sony PlayStation 1. Then I had a Sonic Foundry SoundForge that is an editing software. You cannot have multi-track. You only have like a file, and then if you zoom in really close, you have the samples pretty much. I didn't understand sample rates. I didn't understand none of this stuff. All I knew is that if you zoom in and you can cut between the dots, that's how it works. And then if you want to chop samples up or whatever, then there's a zero crossing, that, you know, when the line crosses the horizontal line, when the waveform crosses the horizontal line, then this is where you're supposed to cut, otherwise it's gonna click. So I've learned a little bit about sound engineering back then. Then came Hip Hop Roo. So back in the early 2000s, I started participating. Hip Hop Roo is a really well-known Russian rap forum, like a rap message board forum. And when it initially started, it started on the website of the famous Russian rap band called Kasta, and it was a forum of Kasta's website. And then once they transferred it to their own domain and put the database, transferred the database to their own dedicated servers, I suppose, we became active members of it. And I had other different names, since we're going to little computer clubs with rental computers where we played Quake 2 and such. So I had a bunch of names, but you know, I stuck with the name Ghostrida. I don't know how, but when I was about 13 years old, I think I was in the park in the previous city where I lived, and in the park there was this machine that you could play, and it said something like Ghostrida, and I was like, dang bro, that's who I gotta be. And I had other names like Uncontrollable and like Cella Dwella. Damn, that's weird to remember those names, but I was choosing different names, but I became Ghostrida. Still Ryda though, still Ryda. Yo boy Ryda knows hella lot about this stuff right here. And on a short note, I'm waiting for this piece of gear. It's gonna be in a week. It's gonna be half a year that I'm waiting for this piece from Texas, USA, and I still haven't got it, although I paid the money. So I've showed you this tape, and it has a history. This tape, Rap Zone. Okay, so when I was in a pioneer camp, which is like the child's camp, I had this friend who was like a year younger than me, Ali Biek. And why I'm showing this tape to you is that Rap Zone was a band that we all listened to back then. I was 12 years old. And it was probably my second year of listening to rap music. And so the Rap Zone was a band that we all listened to and were crazy about it. And so this guy, Ali Biek, it's connected. I'll tell you how. So this guy, Ali Biek, he was kind of like moving nicely, you know, when listening to like Cypress Hill and other different music. He was moving like he had some moves, you know what I mean? And so it turns out that Rap Zone are his brothers. His older brothers, they're probably 10 or so years older than us, like in their early 20s, and they're the rappers they were listening to. And so one day the Sony Playstation guy, he, like, me and him were big friends, and we listened to hip hop like all the time. And so he was like, one day he was like, let's make a rap band. I was like, really? And I was like, okay, so if Rap Zone are his brothers, they're definitely gonna back us up. They're definitely gonna back us up. So I had no doubt that we are gonna have a rap group, or rap band, rap group, we called it. And so that's how I decided to start writing a little bit of lyrics. And so this Ali Biek guy, he tells me that we're gonna start a rap group, and I was like, damn bro, and we kind of like, that's how I got involved. That's how I got involved. So I started writing little lyrics, and when I moved to Moscow, not knowing anything, I've already tried not recording, but I was writing some lyrics and I was practicing. I didn't speak English well back then, although I've learned it since I was a kid, and I can remember myself knowing Russian and English words since I was a kid. I've never had a problem with pronunciation, but I had problem with like grammar and vocabulary and constructing my sentences and stuff like that. So here I am in Moscow, and I have this recording skill, I have this DAW skill, I have, you know, like a rap dream or whatever. I didn't know anything about engineering, and so instead of like learning what they were telling me in school, I was listening to what my grandma told me. She was like, do whatever you love and you'll be happy. So I've always been doing this, and you know, I'm still happy. And it's a long time, it's a long story. So yeah, Hip Hop Ru appeared, and I tried participating in a rap battle, and it was like a first official rap battle, and I did a first track. I was listening to hip hop, and I used SoundForge to kind of like, you know, chop little bits of loops from the tracks. You could not separate stems or anything like that. I was just like a single track. And then oftentimes I was a big fan of Wu-Tang, starting from like 1998 or around that time. So I was a big Wu-Tang guy. And so I remember I was listening to Warcloud, Warcloud, was a rapper from the Wu fam. And he had like a weird style, but it was kind of cool. So he had like I had his MP3s, and to mind you, we had to use a dial-up modem, which goes when you connect. But you know, you can search it online. It's called dial-up connection, and we used that, and it took forever to download anything. So I had like a huge library, and we also like shared libraries. You know, like copying files from one to the other person.